SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
What's up, everybody? Glad to see you on this Tuesday night to this edition of the podcast. My name, of course, is Michael Warkey. Baseball still going on right now. Hopefully, we will get through the football part of the conversation by the time the game ends, and we can react to that as well. Ole Miss currently leading Southern Miss 10-3 in Pearl, but went ahead and went live with you guys before the game ended because none of you can watch it anyway. None of you can watch it. You have middle school baseball games that get aired for parents and grandparents and cousins and friends all over the world can watch anytime. But two ranked college baseball teams in the year of our Lord 2026 cannot have a video feed. Now, look, us here at SuperTalk, who have radio broadcasting rights to Ole Miss sports, appreciate your patronage on the baseball broadcast tonight. But yeah, I can't wrap my mind around the fact that there is no video of a ranked baseball game in 2026. So we'll talk football first. I'm so glad you're here. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Just search Rebel Report and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And if you like what you hear, leave a rating and a review. And also right here on YouTube, subscribe, leave a comment, follow, all that good stuff. Would really appreciate you doing that. And this edition of the show is brought to you by Scruggs in Saltillo. Scruggs Farm, Lawn, and Garden has everything that you need. And I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that. I'm a big Costco guy. Love going to Costco. Huge store. Scruggs is like 3 times bigger than the Costco that I go to. If you need anything for your home or for your lawn or for your garden, it's in the name of the company, or of the store, but it's not just a store. It has literally everything that you can think of. Also, the cheapest beer in town. The clothes are good. The boot selection's outstanding. The fishing section's really good. Home furnishings, home improvement, but most importantly, guys, it's warming up. It is springtime here in Mississippi. That means when it rains, anyway, we're going through a little bit of a drought right now, but the grass is growing. And whether you're a pro or somebody that has some hunting property or some weekend property, or just a guy like me that has a yard that needs cut every 3 days when the summer comes, they've got a deal to get you moving this spring at Scruggs. 0% for 36 months on all commercial mowers. 0% financing, 36 months, all commercial mowers, 1.9% on John Deere Gators, which are incredible, by the way, especially if you have property, but that'd be a fun neighborhood vehicle as well. 1.9% on Gators, 0% on 72 months for all compact tractors and Selects 5 Series tractors. Those offers are valid through the end of the month. Do not wait. Go to Scruggs in Saltillo, 3575 Tom Watson Drive in Saltillo. At Scruggs, they have more for you for less. So, I'll start with a comment, and then we'll get to the Pete Golding audio cuts that I have for you. You say, Iowa got hit by the NCAA for tampering. And every case is different. Every situation is different. I do think, though, you can at least draw some conclusion from that case. It looked like Iowa cooperated, and I tried to figure out like if they got snitched on or something like that. Couldn't quite figure out exactly how it started, but Iowa kind of got caught red-handed, I guess, and they didn't really fight the allegation necessarily. Tampering with Cade McNamara 3 years ago. They didn't really fight it. The only thing they fought was vacating wins, which remains the absolute dumbest penalty. It's just a waste of everybody's time. We all saw the games. They happened. You can't take wins away. It's so stupid. Iowa apparently fought that for some reason. Don't quite understand why. Maybe Kirk Ferentz's longevity. But yeah, an assistant coach and a head coach contacting a player before he entered the transfer portal. Clear-cut case of tampering. Largely a slap on the wrist. Kirk Ferentz did serve a self-imposed suspension for I think it was the Illinois State game in 2024, and otherwise really minor stuff. That case is different than the Clemson case. I think Ole Miss is not going to just lay over at all when it comes to whatever Dabo was talking about. And remember, as we talked about at the time, in Dabo's press conference, he said, just go get his phone. That's all the evidence that you need. And obviously the NCAA cannot do that. They can't just go get somebody's phone. They don't have subpoena power. But there's already established precedent, like with Michigan, where if a coach is going to get suspended, you get to pick and choose when you serve the suspensions. Kirk Ferentz missed a non-conference game. I don't know if you can draw too much from it, but I do think it's noteworthy that a coach got caught tampering, an assistant got caught tampering, and it was a one-game suspension for a non-conference game, and everybody moved on 3 years later. So maybe that does mean something. Maybe it does not, but that is out there. However, Pete Golding talked to the media today. Really good stuff, especially around defensive backs. There was also a really funny exchange that he had with Neil McCready, and kudos to Neil for asking. It's funny. He laughed. He's like, I have to ask. I'm sorry. Led to a pretty good exchange about Twitter and some goings on Twitter recently. But let's start with he was asked about running backs, and here's what the head coach had to say about what he's got in his running back room.
I liked about that running back room behind Q1 this spring. Obviously, other guys maybe get a little bit more opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, the mentality. I think they're a team first group. I think that's led by Coach Wilson, and they've worked extremely hard. Not of egos in there, but they're all a little different. And like we kind of talked about before, we wanted some guys with some experience, which we brought in, and then obviously bringing in JT, which we think has the extreme upside. Obviously hasn't had the experience, but really explosive, got top end speed. So. Really like how that group's just going to work. Obviously with Kiwan, coming back from the injury, has allowed those guys to get a lot of the reps and us rotate a lot of those guys, including Shakai. So just really appreciate their work ethic and coming to every day, like a pro. And I think that's led by Coach Wilson. But I would say the mentality, number one, and then obviously the depth of that position. You feel like regardless whether you're going the 1, 2, 3, or 4 up there, it's like, man, this kid's got a chance. And so you don't see that drop off that I felt like we've had before. So it's in a pretty good spot.
So, yeah, the depth is very important in this running back room. Obviously, Kejuan Lacey going to be the bell cow, the superstar for this Ole Miss team, and a guy that I think is going to be a candidate to be a first-round pick, especially considering what he does, as we talk about all the time, in pass protection. He's exceptional at that. But, I mean, Mekhi Frazier, the transfer from Michigan State, looks like a big physical back. Joshua Dye, we've talked about before, transferring from a lower level, but was electric a year ago. You heard Pete Golding mention Mills Knight. Ole Miss has to be smarter with Kejuan Lacey this season than they were last season. And obviously new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new running backs coach. And so you hope, and from hearing Golding just now, it kind of leads you to believe that this will be the case. There is no reason whatsoever for Kejuan Lacey to be in the fourth quarter of a game in which you're winning by 5 touchdowns this season. You've got the depth. It was reckless regardless, but you've got the depth now to where you can be comfortable rotating a little bit more. Kejuan with the banged up shoulder. And then of course in the Miami game, hurt his hamstring as well. You need to protect him this season. If you're going to achieve the goals that you think that you can, making the playoff again, making another run into the playoff, they have got to be smarter and protect their star running back better than they did a year ago. And at times it was reckless last season with how they used Kejuan. It was definitely reckless the year before with how they used Henry Parrish. They've got the depth now. You hope with the new eyes and the new coaches on the offensive side of the ball, they'll be smarter about running back usage in 2026. Next thing, he was asked about the spring portal window, which obviously no longer exists, and whether or not he likes the fact that it doesn't exist. Here is his answer there.
Operate.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, I'm a fan of whatever they put in place. I'm not getting into what my thoughts are. I think, whatever the rules are at that point, that's what we got to work under, and we got to try to do it better than anybody else. So, once they went to one, then obviously you need to kind of have your roster in place as far as from a depth standpoint. I think that was the biggest thing that, the old spring portal allowed you to do if there was injuries or, you took a guy that wasn't who you thought he was, then you had the opportunity. But, I love the fact of there's not another, period here where we're negotiating contracts and super concerned on losing players that you've invested a lot in, this short to the season. So I'm a fan of it, obviously. But it did make sure that you really had to do a great job, not only in the portal, but also in your high school guys. Who could we get in here early, right, as far as getting in spring and seeing what they have. So we have a good plan, once fall camp in the summer of how you disperse on the reps. What I think it also allowed us to do is be a little more real during spring ball. I think last year you're really worried about how do you manage the roster, and you're not doing depth charts and all those things because a guy could get pissed off and leave at the end of April if he's not thinking he's the guy. So it's allowed them to self-assess a little bit, and do a better job grading and tell them exactly where they're at, and this is what they got to improve on because they can't go anywhere, which I think is really important for everybody. So, no, I'm a fan of it.
So that last part is that's a good for everybody thing, as he said. I mean, the fact that players aren't jumping ship twice in an off season is, frankly, it's good for the players ultimately because now they can focus on improving as opposed to just bouncing around from place to place to place. And that I think that's ultimately good for the players as well. But the first half of that, I think you should like, and that's simply put, I'm not going to complain about whatever the situation is. I'm just going to go do it and try to do it better than everybody else. And that's an important thing because you've seen in other programs, namely Clemson, the lack of ability to adapt to the changes gets you left behind. And there has been so many changes lately in college football, and we're not done. Things are going to keep changing and keep new rules here, portal window here, no portal window here, signing day like this, contracts like this, transfer. It's going to constantly change until, they actually do what's necessary, collectively bargain and all that stuff. But for now, it's just going to be evolving, and sports evolve regardless. And hearing from your head coach that, I just, whatever it is, I have to do it better than everybody else. There's no time for complaining. There's no time for thinking about it. I just have to go do it better. And whatever it is, whatever comes, I have to adjust. Got to like that. He was asked about coaches influencing him and what specific coaches did he possibly lean on and get advice from as he was taking the job. And here is that exchange.
Something I meant to ask last week, I think you were asked about mentors and friends in coaching, Coach Roberts or Sark or whoever. Was there any piece of advice you got about being a head coach that stood out or you tried to take to heart?
Don't do it. No. I think all those guys, obviously, it's who you surround yourself with, number one. Make sure you're hiring really good coaches, but even more importantly than that, really good men. Don't always go your friend route first. Make sure it's a really, really good fit based on where you're at. And then all of them, you got to be yourself. I think so many times we go and we've been somewhere or been around somebody and it's been really successful, and we try to take that blueprint and do it verbatim, and it's just not the same players, not the same coaches, not the same personality, what have you. So, but I think it's always put really good people around you, man. Just be you and recruit really well, hold them accountable, try to have stability in the system, and normally the rest takes care of itself.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. I just thought that was a good answer to the question. All right, two more. I got two more. He was asked about his defensive backs, and obviously Pete Golding, being a defensive guy in particular, is going to have a lot to say about his defensive backs. There is a couple of things in this quote, though, that stand out to me in terms of seeking consistency, as he says, but also the personnel situation that they've got at defensive back. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I think flashes. I think it's the biggest thing. I think you watch a couple snaps like, man, that's what it should look like. That's it. And then you watch the very next snap and said, holy shit, what just happened? So, the inconsistency of that, obviously, we knew, which is, I think, is spring is so important for, is consistency in performance, especially at that position where, if you screw it up back there, the band's playing and it's not yours, So just the understanding of being consistent, right, and not making more plays against us than they do for us. We have certain coverages where you can take chances and certain coverages that you can't. And I think the big thing coming out of spring is understanding what's the strength and weakness of the coverage and have an understanding where's my alignment, what's my assignment, my key, right? But understanding every coverage is not designed to take away everything. And I think, when you got instinctive guys back there that are really competitive, they want to stop every play. And when they start doing that, the eyes become issues, right? And they kind of get out of their lane a little bit. So I think consistency is the biggest thing. But the flashes are there, that we haven't seen before, just based on ability to play man-to-man and range and the ability to come up and approach and strike. So some of those things that the intangibles of the position, they're there. But I think the consistency of it has to improve.
That's got to feel really good, right, for you Ole Miss fans listening to this, because when you're talking about establishing consistency, you brought in some new faces via transfer portal. It's a pretty complex system. It doesn't have to be perfect right away. That's what spring football's for, as he said. But the acknowledgement that they flash in ways that they haven't since he's been there, meaning that the talent ceiling has been raised rather dramatically. And that was something that we've talked about a lot. That secondary was not good enough last season. It wasn't talented enough. They had to raise the talent ceiling of specifically the safety position. And they also bring in Crawford at defensive back, which has raised the talent ceiling there as well, to go with the returning Antonio Kite and Jalen Braxton. So there is a lot to take away from such a short quote, but most importantly, they needed to address the talent in the back end of their defense. They had to get better there if they're going to be a championship level football team. Head coach seems to think they've done that. They just have to establish some consistency. It's April. It's okay if they're not consistent right now. All right, last thing. This is just a funny exchange that Neil McCready brought up, X, the Everything app. And this is just a pretty funny back and forth.
I have to ask. I'm sorry. Do you pay attention to stuff that happens on X that gets where you get mentioned by certain people?
I really don't. I mean, obviously, I've got kids, right? And we've got people that work here and all that do all that. So things get brought up or somebody will send me a text message. And so you definitely see certain things. But, I'm not good enough at this job to be on that all damn day and do this job. I don't know how they do it. More power to them. I'll learn one day. But there's enough things in the building that I need to do and do at a high level. But, yeah, I definitely see some of it based on what gets sent to me. Where are you going with that?
I was just curious. Your golf game was mentioned. There was a interaction at a baseball game recently, and that kind of thing.
My golf game? So Malloy is one of my best friends, right? So they had their little fundraiser for their par 3. So Trinidad and I went and hit the first shot, so I didn't get a play. I hit the first shot and then came on back. But I can assure you, if you saw my golf game, you wouldn't be worried about me playing golf.
Well, no, that's not what I was. That's not what I was getting at.
That was funny. That's just good stuff there from both of them. I do think, though, it's good that he's not getting baited into that, right? Because that's what Lane Kiffin's trying to do, trying to bait him. And it's good that he's not getting baited by that. And we talked about it some on the radio show. I do think that it would benefit the league office if they would get involved in the attempt to bring down the temperature when you've got a coach talking about the fighting prowess of his fans going into what will be, no doubt, an incredibly emotionally charged game. And you've already had a fan going into a student section putting hands on throats. So, yeah, I think that there needs to be a little bit more conversation around that game to make sure that everybody is doing you can't stop people from doing dumb stuff. You can't stop a college kid from throwing a beer as much as you would like that to not happen. There are people that make dumb decisions all the time, and you can't police them all. You could probably try to keep an adult man out of a college student section better, but You can't prevent a guy like that from doing what he does, but you can certainly try to bring the temperature down a little bit. And I think the league office probably would be smart to step in and maybe make sure that statements like that don't happen anymore. I don't know. That's just me. But again, what do I know? We'll talk about the baseball game after I tell you the podcast is brought to you in part by Logan Smith Shelter Insurance, home, auto, life, or insurance for your business. He's in Brookhaven, but he can take care of you anywhere in Mississippi. So if you need that anywhere in this state, Logan Smith has got you covered. 601-823-3500. 601-823-3500. Even if you have insurance already, it's worth the phone call. Logan and his team will get you a quote. You'll love what you have to hear. He's already got award-winning services, and he's younger than me. So check him out, Logan Smith, Shelter Insurance. Don't forget to tell him that it was me that sent you. Ole Miss beat Southern Miss 10-3 in Pearl. You had a really good night from Tristan Becerra. He was 4 of 5 on the night for Ole Miss. Scored 3 runs, had 2 RBI, 2 doubles, and a home run. Obviously, a triple away from the cycle. Udemark had a pair of hits. Furness had a pair of hits. Federico continues to produce. He had a hit tonight. Owen Pano had a hit tonight as well. Robertson was good. 3 complete, 5 strikeouts, scattered only 3 hits in the game. And Ole Miss just earmuffs, or just forgive me for using, the language that I'm about to use, but Ole Miss just kind of kicked Southern Miss's ass tonight, and that is noteworthy. I know Southern Miss is struggling a little bit lately. They are sliding backwards a bit as a team, but it's still a talented Southern Miss team, one that beat Ole Miss earlier this season. And this just continues momentum, right? You just swept LSU. You won that series in Gainesville. You scored 10 runs tonight on, 11 hits, 10 runs on 11 hits against a pitching staff that completely shut this offense down earlier this season. And you just continue to stack good days. You're building momentum, especially with the offense, but you pitched it pretty well tonight. And you just beat the crap out of a ranked team at a neutral site, a win that's going to help the resume. And there's just, look, I didn't get to watch it because, like you guys, I had it on the radio for a while through the SuperTalk app. But regardless, just an ass kicking. And that is a really, really impressive thing. Big series upcoming this weekend with Tennessee, obviously. And the momentum going into that series, though, is huge in favor of Ole Miss. So if you guys got thoughts, go ahead and put them in the comments, especially if you were there, because again, nobody could watch it. So last bill paying, and then we will get to your comments. Podcast brought to you in part by Priority One Bank, to make you their priority every day. 16 locations, local loan servicing and decision making, a great online banking platform. It's where I bank, and that's where you should bank as well. It's in the name at Priority One Bank. Switch and bank with me there. Also, Advantage Business Systems. If you are a Mississippi company and you need technology in your office, absms.com is the website. Anywhere in this state, tell them that I sent you. You get a complimentary office technology assessment. Fred says, great day to be a Rebel. My nephew was invited to practice, and Pete was amazed when he saw him, told him he will be watching him this fall. That's awesome. It's got to feel good. Final score in Gainesville, Bethune-Cookman beat Florida 13-7. Wow. Let me see if anything else interesting is happening in the SEC tonight. Bethune-Cookman, good on them, man. They're awesome. UCF is losing to Jacksonville in the 11th. This UCF that is currently ranked ahead of Ole Miss by D1. Let's see. LSU's got a 4-2 lead over Northwestern State right now. Oklahoma's getting beat 7-0 in the 8th by Oklahoma State. Georgia had to fight to beat East Tennessee State 12-10. Any other interesting results in the league? No, pretty standard midweek night there. Game not being streamed is tragic. No more games in Pearl, period. 2 top 25 teams have to listen on the radio like it's 1925. Ridiculous. Well, I do like listening to baseball on the radio. Of all the games to listen on the radio, baseball is the best one. And I host a radio show every day. So I hope that you don't think listening to the radio is from 1925. But no, the fact that there's no video stream it's unfortunate. I do like that the teams play in other places. I like that Ole Miss basketball goes to Biloxi. I like that baseball comes to this area. Not everybody can jet up to Oxford for non-football games. It's hard to do it for football games, but especially for non-football games. So I like that they do this, but if this is going to be what's presented, is it worth it is a fair question. Benny pushing back as he tends to do. Yeah, Iowa got a year probation and a few other penalties. Yeah, read them. I mean, what is probation is utterly meaningless with the NCAA completely hamstrung. Iowa's penalties are virtually insignificant. It's nothing. The biggest one is the suspension, and it was for a non-conference game. Getting real comfortable with Walker Hooks as the closer. He is just awesome. Has been lately, anyway. Ole Miss is now number 20 with tonight's win. In the RPI, they're better than that. And rankings don't change. What do you mean by they're now number 20? Because rankings don't change either after midweek games. Ole Miss currently 13 in the RPI. And that should improve tonight because Southern Miss was 14. And that's a neutral site game. So a little bump there. Tennessee currently, where are the Volunteers? 29. So quad one road opportunity for Ole Miss. Big weekend this weekend. We'll find out a lot about the team. Is this a hosting team or not? This weekend's a good indicator for that. You just say, man, I love Pete. He is very thoughtful in these press settings. I hope he doesn't dial it back. I hope he continues to be himself, because himself in that setting is, I can see why he's recruiting well. I can see why he's looked at as a good recruiter, because if he was trying to pitch me his vision, that sounds like a vision that I could buy. He's very thoughtful and articulate, but also still like kind of down home football guy. I get it. I get why people are impressed by him. I get why players wanted to stay and play for him and stuff like that. I get why multiple offensive staff members stayed and didn't leave when his predecessor left, etc. Don't want to jinx it, but over the last few games, been able to string hits along to score runs instead of just depending on the long ball and strikeouts looking. Yes, for sure. It's my most controversial sports opinion that you can share publicly that won't get you in trouble. My most controversial sports opinion that you can share publicly that won't get you in trouble. I don't know if I have like a long-standing controversial sports opinion that would get me in trouble. Let alone one that's a good question. I'll have to think on that. I don't know if I have any, like, I mean, this is more political than anything else. I think billionaires should pay for their own stadiums. I don't like that they are able and people give in to them holding municipalities and taxpayers hostage. Like, why do the Chicago Bears need a new stadium? Why do they need one? Oh, they want to host concerts. I mean, they have an iconic venue in a really awesome location, and they're going to move to Indiana. Who does that serve? Who benefits from that other than the billionaire who's going to make a municipality in Indiana pay for their own stadium? I don't think that's controversial. I don't think that taxpayers should fund stadiums for billionaires. I mean, like if you want to get into mixed use places and stuff for small leagues, like where I grew up in South Carolina, one of the suburbs of Greenville built a small stadium for the USL soccer team there. I don't know, but I don't like that. Neil had an interesting take on Lane Kiffin fully opening practice for the rest of the spring. Thinks Kiffin is trying to get the media to temper expectations because the offense isn't good. He's been doing a lot of tempering expectations lately. And, you know, I get it because there's a lot of new. His quarterback just got pins taken out of his ankle. They're probably not ready to win big in year one. But they spent so much money to make that happen. And you spent the last few months talking about just different. And then they put up $40 million plus to buy you a roster. There's no tempering expectations. And it's easy, by the way, to pretend like you're rational now, by the way. I say this about so many things. You guys know I'm consistent about this. It's like the Dabo thing, as we talked about that. It's easy for him to sell that to his fans in late January because you haven't lost a game yet. They eat that crap up in January. Oh, look at him taking the moral stance. Good on Dabo for being above the bad in college sports. And that's great. And their local media ate that crap up, and they loved it around there because it was late January and he's not losing a game. But he's going to take his team to Baton Rouge and lose by 5 touchdowns, and then those same people are going to call for his head and talk about how he's a dinosaur and didn't get up with the times. But those same people in January were praising the stances that he was taking. It's very similar here. It's easy to be like, it's year one. I mean, gosh, to expect them to make the playoffs, that's crazy. And then they lose the third game. It's easy to say that you'd be okay with it now because it hasn't happened yet. Do you watch F1? I don't. I like it, though. I like it. I do not watch it regularly. Attended last year's race when it came to Austin. It was an amazing thing to experience. Well, if you go to the Ole Miss game at Texas, it's F1 weekend there, isn't it? I think it is. Which, go ahead and book your hotel now, by the way. Controversial sports opinion: championship history in all sports shouldn't count for more than 10 years. Every sport changes dramatically over that period of time. Stats, I think, is another one that there needs to be context applied. I mean, you're playing more basketball games, you're playing more football games. The games have evolved themselves. You've got, point totals and stuff like that being discussed, or yards and things like that without context, and that's not fair to the guys that played in a different era. Is something like a salary cap going to have to come to college sports? Oh, yeah, it has to come. It has to come. I don't think that they are prepared yet to do what's necessary to make that a reality and make it stick and hold up in court. But yeah, I think that day will come eventually. Haven't watched a single Braves game since they left Turner. That's where I had all my Braves memories as a kid. New stadium feels too corporate and soulless. Yeah. Corporate and soulless is a really good way to describe a lot in sports now. My God, the World Cup. And it's out of the United States Soccer Federation's control. But this stuff about the FIFA has banned tailgating. The New Jersey Transit thing. So you can't do ride share to the Meadowlands. They're not, that's banned. You can't do that. But they have a train that takes you in and out. They're going to charge $100 one way to take the train to the game. Soulless and corporate is exactly how to put it. I was so excited about a World Cup here in our country, and I can't afford to even go to the watch parties. Soulless. Absolutely soulless. Cannot be more spot on about Clemson fans. As soon as they get blasted by LSU, then start 1-2, they'll be blaming Dabo for not doing enough. Exactly. Have they said anything about the new additions to the stadium yet? They have not. I think those are expected to come out next month. Actually, I need to reach out to set it up, but visit with Keith Carter will be requested this week. So maybe he'll have a little bit more clarity on that. But it is coming. It is coming, and I'm excited about the possibility of what that could look like. I think it's a good idea in just a written form. We haven't seen the physical concepts yet, but it being written out, the way it's written out makes sense, you know. In doing it that way, instead of trying to drive a capital campaign when you're asking your fans and businesses and stuff to contribute to NIL, makes a lot of sense too. I would not be on board with the fundraising campaign because you guys know me. I will defend you guys with every fiber of my being. I think you guys are mistreated. Not Ole Miss fans in general. It's not just Ole Miss. It's everywhere. Are just being crazy mistreated in so many ways, taken advantage of, I guess is the better way to put it. And the fact that it's not a capital campaign, I like that because you're already given enough money. They found another way to make this happen, and I do like that a lot. So, misclicked on the 20 post above. Sorry, Warren Nolan's live RPI has Ole Miss up to 10, 3 spots from the weekend. Thanks, Southern Miss. Yeah. Man, it's a good win tonight, man. It is. I know Southern Miss is backsliding a little bit, but it's a top 15 RPI team in a neutral site. Win's going to help. Also, a laugh if Clemson beats LSU. Unfortunately, I do not think it's going to happen. Favorite crazy catch in recent memories, the Trey Harris sideline snag versus ULM. Deuce Alexander had a couple of unbelievable ones last season. I like him a lot. I think he's going to have a big year. Last year, on the Vaughn Hemingway stuff is the developer is supposed to be selected in the next 2 weeks. Plans will come later in the summer. Yeah, good. I think they need to... Frankly, the outside just needs like lipstick on a pig facelift. Put some brick up and stuff like that around, like make the outside look a little bit more uniform. And everything's expensive nowadays, but you can do like a superficial aesthetic facelift of the outside of the stadium too. Is there any way to kick some of the greedier people in sports out? No, unfortunately not. Nope, because here's why. They know how much you care, and you're not going anywhere, and they know that, so they're going to take advantage of you forever. Why does J.D. Piquel not say much about Ole Miss on the On3 National pod? We all know how you feel about the national On3, not local. I do like J.D., though. I like him. He did this. So even if you disagree with a take he has on Ole Miss, this will tell you a lot about JD, the guy. So I was introduced to him at media days briefly. I'm talking a 3-minute conversation with 2 other people, right? That's all it was. And especially a national guy like him is being introduced to hundreds, and I mean literally hundreds of people that week. 3-minute conversation. 2 days later, I bump into him getting coffee, and he pats me on the shoulder and goes, "Michael, man, good to see you. When am I coming on your show?" Like, remembered my name. We did ask him to come on, and he had not done the interview yet. So after a brief meeting and a handshake, remembered my name and remembered that he had yet to fulfill what he said he would do and come sit down with us at media days. And that stuck with me. I mean, that was good guy stuff. Because there are a lot of national guys that I have interacted with a ton that don't even look at me when we walk by each other. And he not only in a brief conversation remembered who I was, but remembered that he still, you know what I mean? So that always stuck with me of that guy's different than a lot of the other ones who don't remember you at all or don't care. He did, and I liked him. I don't know why he doesn't hype Ole Miss much up on his pod. Some people, there are some people that think that Ole Miss is not going to be good or as good, I should say. I haven't seen anybody really think they're going to nosedive. Like, we had Marcelo on the radio show today, and it was funny. He kind of caught himself. He was like, I think there's a chance that, you look up and Ole Miss has lost 4 games this season, which that was part of his, he did bold predictions or off-season hot take stuff. And that's where the low side of what most people think about Ole Miss is, because the schedule and stuff, you could look up and they could lose 4 games. That's the low end. So there's still some unknown. Pete Golding did coach 3 games and it did go well. But it's now his program, his staff stuff. People, I think, are going to be kind of in wait-and-see mode. But, I mean, beat Louisville and LSU, and people will pay attention quickly to this team. It won't have to be a season-long disrespect. There's just a wait-and-see that I think if they go out and play the way they're capable of in the first 3 weeks, you will see the hype train just get rolling, So many memories you're able to make with your dad at Ole Miss sporting events before he passed when you were 15. These days, it would be impossible. We would be priced out. That's my fear, Benny. That is my fear. That it's going to happen here too. It is happening here. I don't get to take my son to as much as I got to go to growing up. Minor league baseball games are expensive now. I mean, it's just, last year, Ole Miss surviving in Norman had your heart almost explode. That decision to go for it on 4th down in the second half on your own 25-yard line was one of the more head-scratching. Obviously, they got away with it, but just went ahead and gifted Oklahoma points on that decision alone. It made no sense. So there was some self-inflicted stuff mixed in there as well, but I hear you. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hang it up. I really appreciate you guys being here as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and wherever you get your podcast, subscribe there as well. And we'll be back on, I was about to say on Sunday. That's not true. We will be back on Thursday. And ahead, going to go ahead and get this out there. Hayden and I are going to be at Double Decker on the square in front of the Visit Oxford building next Friday, obviously, because Double Decker is next Friday. We'll be there, though. Come say hello. I would love to see you guys. So we'll be there from 3 to 6 next Friday. See you guys Thursday night. Y'all have a good one.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.